Hey, welcome to the PetaPixel Podcast. For expert advice, incredible selection, and the best deals on photo, video, and lighting gear, you go to B&H. B&H is PetaPixel's new gear partner. And for even greater savings at B&H, we recommend the B&H Payboo credit card, which lets you save the tax. You pay the tax and B&H pays you back instantly. Save the tax on eligible purchases shipped to eligible states. Or you can pay over time with our 6 and 12-month financing on minimum purchases of $199 for 6 months or $599 for 12 months. Terms apply. Learn more at bhphoto.com/payboo. Credit card offers are subject to credit approval. Payboo credit card accounts are issued by Comenity Capital Bank. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the PetaPixel Podcast. And for reasons that will be very clear very shortly, I'm referring to everything in terms of camera timelines this week. So I'm being joined by someone who's been my friend since the Leica SL2 launched.
Weird.
It's Jaron Schneider. That is a long friendship there, but it has nothing compared to the time I've spent with this guy since the 1D Mark III, I think was the first camera that launched while we were hanging out. It's Chris Nichols.
I've lost all concept of time and space.
Huge amount of time.
History. It's been a long time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're mixing things up a little bit because if you're watching on the video, you can see there's like 3 letters very prominently in the frame here. We're at KEH in Atlanta.
What would that be? The Nikon FE-ish? Kind of thing. I mean, not quite. Maybe that was
1979,
but 79. Yeah, I was born
exactly as old as Chris Nichols.
I was born, and KH was born, and here we are.
So we're going to be talking about used gear a little bit later. We got a ton of actually kind of bleak news. It's
a mix. It's not all bleak.
Can't wait. Super excited for this.
When I was skimming through the news, the bleak overshadowed the good. So we're going to touch on that a little bit later. It's going to be a great show. But, you know, we've been wandering around here. We've already recorded quite a bit of video in this space. And, gentlemen, I got a question for you.
Yes.
What is the standout thing that you saw while you were walking around like, oh man, I totally forgot that existed. And here it is right in front of me. Yeah, just something
I had
that
to forget existed.
Left your memory completely, and you saw it and it jarred vivid memories.
Oh my God.
That's tough.
We've seen so much stuff.
As you guys know, every single camera model leaves my memory completely. I honestly don't remember any camera other than this Canon Digital Rebel, which is right in front of me right now.
What was the last product you reviewed? Go.
What was it?
Yeah, you don't know, remember? It was a
Typoc 50 mil.
Well,
there
you
we go.
Light Lens Lab was the one that
that wasn't that 4 years ago. I don't know.
That's coming out on Saturday.
What is this place?
Yeah.
I mean, everything disappears. But when we were in the vault with the lovely Larry Hicks here at the KH Vault, there was a Voigtlander Bessa T, and I hadn't thought about that in a long time. If that works.
Yeah, Jaron talks about it pretty regularly.
No, I have a Bessa R2A.
Yeah, right. Not the T. No, the T. And I remember contemplating buying one back in my early days of the camera store when it first came out because I was like, oh, this is somewhat affordable. Maybe I should get this. I did not.
Yeah. Jaron, you got anything?
The thing is, you asked me what I've forgotten existed, and I don't think I saw anything that I forgot existed.
Right.
I saw something I wanted.
What's that?
A Nikon S series rangefinder.
Oh yeah.
Is that the next step but it's not panoramic. That doesn't make any sense for you to
I
step
don't only
back
shoot panoramic. I happen to be a panoramic enjoyer, but I also like
it's a fetish.
I think, and I will go on record here, I think that the Nikon rangefinder and the Canon rangefinders will be the next cameras that people are like, oh, these are very cool. I want one, and they will be harder.
Well, now they will.
Acquire.
Great job. Yeah. You just doubled the price.
I have absolutely no sway in how the public thinks of anything.
KH is super happy because we're increasing the value on all these cameras every minute that goes by. You know what is cool though? I do like traveling to these places with I guess Jaron in a way in that you're like, well, this will make sense. No, I don't want to exclude you. It's just, it's fun to travel these things with Jaron because a lot of the camera models you're not necessarily familiar with. So when we're going around these places, like, wait, what is that? And then I can be like, oh, that's a Nikon S3 rangefinder. It's really, really cool. So it's just kind of neat to because you're exploring these things for the first time, whereas Jordan remembers every single camera he's ever seen in his entire life, never forgets it. So I'm like, Jordan, look at that. He's like, yeah, I know that, Chris. It's just not, does that make sense?
Yeah. There's
Okay,
one more thing here too that I want to mention before we get into it. We were in Japan a couple of weeks ago, and we were trying to buy a film that Chris really, really likes. And we went up to purchase it, and they're like, "Oh no, we're actually sold out of that."
Yes.
We came in here yesterday,
They got tons.
and it's on the wall over here.
Let's not tell them what it is, and then they'll just be like, "What's Chris's favorite film?"
Really?
No, of course not. No, it's the Agfa Photo APX 100, which is a beautiful black and white film. Gorgeous tonality. Has to be developed in Rodinal, like 1:100 dilution, stand development, but then it's just,
Well, he got 2 rolls of it, and I got 2 rolls of it. So
Yes.
you'll probably see some photos of his taken on that soon. He mentioned, by the way, the KEH Vault. That is where they have like the really rare cameras that aren't for sale. They're just nice to look
Yes.
at. We're doing an episode later where Chris is actually going to select one of the cameras out of that vault and do an episode on it. What that camera is not this Rebel that you're seeing in front of him.
No, that's a work in progress.
They do not have 300Ds in the vault for some reason. I don't know why. This is a masterpiece.
We'll get to that.
Design in plastic.
I think a couple weeks is the plan for that, so you'll see it then. But with
Later.
that, yes, with that, let's get into the podcast because there's lots of news this week.
Oh, okay. Now, of course, before we get into the news, we have to thank our sponsor for today's episode. Well, first off, let's give a big thanks to KH for hosting the episode. I mean, that's really nice. But ProMaster rugged memory cards. These are bright orange cards. I use these actually in the Leica M11P. Because, they're reliable. They're fantastic. ProMaster makes a specific card which is designed to be able to survive serious situations. The rugged cards are designed to keep your working memory safe, always important. You have one as well. You like yours?
It's orange, so I don't lose it. I love that about
We
it.
should point out, yes, this is the best card to drop in the grass. You will find it later. So
Shadows everywhere in my office.
My
Cards
line-
go missing. Not that one.
my line of forest green camouflage memory cards was a really bad idea. But these are available micro SD, SD, CF Express Type B cards. You can get these throughout. They've got really neat design structure. They're molded in a way that keeps them sealed, keeps them safe. All those little plastic ribs that normally come off on SD cards.
Those are stupid.
Those are stupid. Those are gone.
Oh.
Yeah, the ProMaster ruggeds don't have those. So it just keeps these safe. Just industrial grade, designed to survive extreme heat, moisture, rain, snow, everything like that. The lock switch, they've modified that. It's not gonna break off. So all the parts that normally break off aren't gonna break off. So really good premium components. They've been fast. They've been reliable. I've had 0 issues with it so far. You should definitely check those out.
The rugged CF Express Type B cards provide an unbeatable combination of premium components and blazing fast speeds, so they're up to the most demanding challenges of capture as well as workflow.
There's a link. There's a link. You
Check
should
the
check
link
on.
in the description below to learn more about ProMaster's line of memory cards. Thank you so much to ProMaster for sponsoring this episode of the PetaPixel Podcast.
Hey, wait, Jaron, before we get to the news, I'd like to throw down a challenge because you both have personal testimonials of KEH experiences. Like, Jaron, you've bought some cameras here. You've had some repairs done here.
Correct.
Chris has purchased equipment, beautiful, stunning, expensive equipment from KEH. I don't,
What are you
actually.
talking about?
I think it was a joke
The 60 millimeter lens
bought
that's on the table.
Yeah, you bought a Tamron
So
lens.
I have had this damn 77 to 82 millimeter stepping ring stuck onto a magnetic filter for about a year now. It's driving me crazy.
Whose
I
fault
use
is that?
Separate 82 millimeter filters like an absolute caveman all the time. So my challenge is I'm just going to slide this over here and see if maybe that can be repaired by the time we leave this place. If so, absolutely.
Is that technically a repair?
I'm just curious if they can split those two apart. I'm happy to
Just
get
give me-
rid of the 82 stepping ring, but
Give me 2
I
rubber
want that
bands.
magnetic
I'll
thing.
have it off here in a second.
This is my challenge.
I'm gonna go get it.
Let's get to the news.
Okay, well, then let's find out next week if they actually were able
No, I'm hoping by the end of the episode.
Oh, by
this
the
is my
end?
this is my
How?
challenge.
We're in a room no one's allowed to come into or leave. This was not thought through.
You just thought if you threw filters on the table,
I was
it would
like, someone at
magically
KH
separate for
make
you?
this happen.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I was curious.
Well, I'm going to try and keep my hands on the steering wheel here. We're going to talk about the news this week. There's a lot to go over. First, we're going to talk about Chris's favorite camera brand, CampSnap. has announced not the CamSnap Pro,
I don't know why you do this to
the
me.
CamSnap 2. It is a slightly different design with more accessory support, and it's smaller than the last one. And Chris, you don't have to plug it into a computer to change the looks on there.
Yeah, which was a ridiculous implementation. Like, can we just do the review right now on the podcast? It's basically the same camera. It's smaller and lighter, which nobody needed because it was already incredibly small and light because it's made of very thin molded plastic. It comes in other fun colors.
Oh, they did that whole translucent color plastic that the Game Boy did back in the 90s.
These. You know, it's still got like the built-in 4 gigs of memory, so you can't change it or anything like that. And if it fails, it goes in the trash. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, don't make me review it. The image quality is the same. Please don't. I mean, it's nice you don't have to like go into the computer and use DOS or something like that to like change your color filter.
That would be fun, actually.
That was the most hilarious thing about the original CamSnap is they're like, this is designed for kids to bring to camp with them where they're not allowed to have screens. If you want to change the profile, you have to plug it into a laptop.
Yeah, so you're going to stick with one. I don't know, man. I think they're dumb. I think they're dumb.
It's interesting that they went and made a new version of it. Do you think that it was because they felt a new version was necessary, or that they felt that they could get more attention on it if they released a V2?
That's probably, well, look, I mean, there were some complaints on the first one, and these are
genuine.
Minor, genuine complaints, but they're minor changes. But, you know, I guess the thing I want to get across is it's poignant that we're in the KH warehouse right now.
Pertinent.
Poignant. No, it's poignant. It's
Both?
poignant. Because KH's sort of, philosophy is to sell used cameras, give them a second home, not put them in the trash. It was pretty neat to see also like the repair departments collecting the old cameras to use as spare parts, and like nothing goes to waste. Even like lens caps and straps and stuff that would normally go in the garbage don't go to waste here, right? So I guess my point is these new cameras, like, you can't repair these really. They're gonna get old. The memory's gonna fail, and they are gonna end up in e-waste. And I just don't like that concept.
I'm also a little disappointed that the flash is still an LED.
Yeah, which is pointless. Anyways, don't get me started.
They addressed
There's
one
my
of your
review,
concerns.
everybody, and please don't make me do it.
What was that, Jordan?
I said they addressed one of your complaints, the profile thing. The rest of it is untouched.
Still a problem. And I get that you want to make these affordable and stuff, and look, CamSnap, I'm not trying to single them out. There's so many manufacturers making these now, but I feel like they're short periods of fun for like a couple months, and then people get tired and bored because the implementations are toyish. So I think it's poignant. I think that I'm sticking with that P word.
Okay. Poignant and pertinent. Moving on. Jordan, Zeiss announced all new anamorphic lenses that have motors and swappable quote-unquote looks.
I need a rubber
These
band.
are really
Just pass it to a professional.
I am a
interesting
professional.
looking. I'm going to try and keep us moving in the same
I'm gonna
direction.
go grab a rubber band.
Jordan, talk to me a little bit about these Zeiss anamorphics.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing, like when I think Zeiss cinema lenses, I generally think spherical. Like the super speeds are pretty legendary. The CP series are very popular, like budget options. They're very contrasty. They're very saturated. But now they're moving over to the anamorphic side. What I love is this is a 2x anamorphic. I'm not crazy. We're seeing a bunch of like 1.3s, 1.5 anamorphics. And I really find like the effect is a lot more noticeable with the heavier squeeze factor, especially if you want to move the camera. What's weird is you look at these things and they look like a broadcast lens.
They do.
Like there's no external controls on them, where typically when you're looking at cinema lenses, like, oh, we have this lovely Sigma 28-105 we're going to talk about a little later this month. They're just covered in physical controls so they can be operated easily, where this is designed to like integrate directly into a follow focus unit. You're controlling everything electronically. So I think they'll be quite popular when you're doing like high-end like motion control work, things like that. But it's not designed for someone to actually be touching the lens. So it's interesting that they're basically, it's not like they're taking one of their proven formulas and trying this in a new form factor. They're going anamorphic, heavy squeeze factor, which they're not known for, and then completely changing up the electronics on it. So yeah, it's a really interesting design from Zeiss.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes.
Great.
The wonderful staff have helped me out with a rubber band. I'm going to do my best here now to get rid of it.
So these anamorphic lenses, they're the Horizon series, are available in 35, 40, 50, 75, 110, 150, and 200 millimeters. They're all T2.3 except for the 200, which is a T2.9.
Yeah, those are fast for anamorphics with that kind of
These
squeeze factor.
are heavy. They range in weight from 2.42 to 3.25 kilograms, 5.3 to 7.17 pounds. These are beefy boys. So,
yeah.
Did you super glue this, Jordan?
No, see, that's why I wanted a professional to take a look at
Drop this down a cliff.
I've tried everything, man. That's why I was hoping the service center could help me out.
So this month, we're expecting the review embargo to lift on GoPro's new Mission series cameras. And to be clear, not the entire series, just the Mission 1.
Yes.
Well, news broke this week that GoPro is on the brink and has, quote, substantial doubt about its survival. They are not doing well. Of course, in response to this news, their share price dropped 14%. That was bad.
26% drop in revenue in the first quarter of this year.
They're down 87% share price over the last year. They are not doing well. Over the past 5 years, GoPro's share price has fallen 89%. They are a publicly traded company, so all of this is out there. Jordan, do you think, based on your limited experience so far with the Mission 1, that that is enough to save this company?
So I haven't used this a ton. It kind of fell in a horrible part of our schedule. But when I was first getting briefed on it, I was incredibly excited by what this camera is offering, the new sensor, new processor. There's a lot of cool stuff there. The problem is they simultaneously launched what I think might even turn out to be vaporware at this point, the interchangeable lens version of this camera, which stole all the headlines, all the attention. It's not a terribly compelling camera.
This Micro Four Thirds mount.
This mount,
non-electric connection.
Yeah, with the smaller sensor there, which again, it might make sense for like putting a longer lens on so it'll match with your existing GoPros. But the bread and butter is the action camera, the ultra-wide fixed lens version of this, which absolutely no one is talking about because we were all so baffled by it, which looks like an awesome camera, and it moves things up market, which might be enough for GoPro to actually start making a profit because their cameras have all been they're under that $500 mark for the the highest end black version. So this gives them the option for, making a little more profit per unit, still selling accessories for it. But I think this launch has been so incredibly bungled. Like, it has had multiple tiers. There's been review embargoes where the dates have been shifted. Like, we've known about this camera. It got launched a long time ago.
Pre-NAB, we knew about it.
Yeah. So I think they kind of bungled this launch, which was their real shot at like, hey, let's get a pile of pre-orders. That'll make the numbers look really good.
I mean, aren't they trying
and it hasn't happened.
No, I mean, it makes sense to try to get it out early only because, I mean, the real issue is every other Chinese company's eating their lunch.
Yes.
Right? That's the problem. You got DJI, you got Insta360. Actually, so many other third-party companies are trying to make these action cameras as well. So maybe they're trying to get ahead of it, build up some hype. They were getting images out there, which kind of look good. We, of course, did a story on it on a podcast a few weeks ago, or quite a few weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, maybe just putting the word mission into an action camera is a really bad idea. Like, anytime we put mission in, it's just like...
He's referring to the Nikon P-Mission series, which almost sank the company.
Yikes. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I feel for them. They were obviously one of the first companies to make action cameras, by far the biggest name in it for many, many years.
Yeah, their marketing
really
was
products.
phenomenal.
I mean, really well-loved products. We all used them and loved them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. Everybody and their dog has copied this idea, and it's really taken off.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where so often I'm like, well, yeah, it makes sense because their products haven't been good for a while. And I would say that, like, I've liked the last few editions of GoPro, but they've definitely not, like, inspired the market to the same extent as what the other companies are going to do. But this is a really exciting, good-looking camera that I'm looking forward to using a lot more. So, it's a shame that this news comes right as they're doing something that could potentially have turned the ship around, except, again, I just think this launch was horribly done.
Another story that's not fantastic news. I'm not really sure how to take this, really. It could be good news. Capture One's private equity owner, the one that purchased it and Phase One, and then split those into two separate companies, so they're no longer connected. They're trying to sell Capture One. the information around this was pretty difficult to get to. The only data that we had was being reported by groups that specifically cater to like the high-end business market. And so the only way you could read their articles typically is to be a subscriber to them or like a member of their group. And one of the articles that we were looking at, it cost $25,000 to read it.
Oh.
They were,
but you're an in-chief. They should just give you.
They were
the
generous.
Key to the kingdom.
They were generous enough. This is a global credit intelligence and data firm, Octus. They were generous enough to let us read the article for not $25,000. Wow. And yeah, in here it's pretty clear there are reasons to think that Capture One is going to be sold, or at least the private equity owner is trying to offload the debt that they've got tied up in Capture One. It looks like they want to sell both Capture One and Phase One, and they're starting with Capture One. The thing is, Capture One hasn't exactly been doing better since they were acquired.
They've had a tumultuous couple years here, hey?
So there is one person in the comments on PetaPixel who's like, why would you report on this and none of the new features that Capture One's launched in the last 4 months? Because they don't tell us. Like, I had no idea that Capture One actually was launching new features because their communications department has shifted people multiple times over the last few years. Like, every time we send an email to someone who emailed us last time, it bounces because that person no longer works there. It's not an environment to cultivate great comms. So I don't know, man. I think that this is probably true, only that because they continue to lose money on the purchase. So like getting rid of it now before they lose even more money on it would be the move of a private equity firm. I just don't know who would buy it. I know there are people who are like, well, like who would be a good purchaser? I heard Canva as someone who would be a good purchaser, and Apple.
Well, Canva already just launched their own photo editing. That doesn't make much sense. Sorry, continue your thought.
Well, the only reason it doesn't make sense for those two is, Apple maybe. There isn't really anyone who's got anything that competes with Lightroom except Capture One. Like, there's a very specific workflow, the tethering, the libraries, like the way it works is very unique to those two softwares.
Right.
I was thinking actually a better purchaser might be DxO.
Yeah, and then just drop their AI features into it. But
they already cater to a higher end audience.
Yeah.
So why not give them the features that people have wanted to not use? Like, they just don't want to use Lightroom anymore. Give them something else.
And I don't think DxO has any tethering support in any of their
it would
applications.
Be a nice,
so it would really kind of fit in there.
And Capture One has fantastic
the software's good,
yeah,
right, Jordan? You like the software?
I still, but primarily edit photos on Capture One as long as they're supported. So yeah. I love it. I'd like to see a solid competitor to Adobe thrive. And unfortunately, Capture One's been, there's been new features, but they definitely feel a little bit behind in terms of optimization and, some of their masking features and stuff like that. Took a little more time to come out. But I love the way it handles color, which is why I keep going back to Capture One.
Phase One has not been making much of a profit, if any, over the last several years. So it's not looking great. I'm not sure. The problem is, like, what they would try and sell it for is more than I think a lot of companies would see the value.
It's highly specialized now. It would actually be interesting to maybe do a dive into how Phase One is doing as a company.
The camera company?
Yeah.
The camera company is another story entirely.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from Phase One since the camera that you reviewed 2 years ago with the wooden handle.
Yes. Incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very niche. Its niche has a niche. You know what I mean?
It would be cool to try the actual system. We've never reviewed them. I think that would be really interesting. I think you need more DSLRs in your life, Chris, besides this hunk of trash here.
Why would you call this a hunk of trash? This is the Canon Digital Rebel 300D. Huh?
I was just telling those who are only listening that
I'm holding a Canon Digital Rebel 300D. This is not a hunk of trash. This is a piece of history. This was the first affordable digital DSLR. This opened up before this.
Historically incredibly important.
Yeah, before this, DSLRs
no fun
were
to look
incredibly expensive. Yeah, it's hideous. They're
your iCup.
I don't know.
Or process the images from.
It's an old camera. It's ancient.
Don't blow your load now talking about it. You're doing a video on it later.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I will not stand here and have people call this a hunk of trash. Okay, this is a historic.
There are dozens of us.
Jordan, about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we talked about a new Micro Four Thirds lens hitting the market. It was an 18mm f1.4 by a brand called YoloLiv.
Speaking of
I have to
trash.
scream at our commenters and readers here shortly, but yes, follow through with the rest of this story.
Well, you said this is cool, it's neat. This is an underserved focal length. It would be nice to have a nice, very affordable lens in this area. And you said you wanted to review it.
Yes.
So I made that happen. I went and got that lens. Then what happened?
I've held that lens. I mounted it to multiple cameras, and they wouldn't even turn on or just gave me a black screen. You can see examples in the article here of my experience with that, but this is a Micro Four Thirds lens. There's a little logo right on the box there saying Micro Four Thirds.
And what does it mean to be a Micro Four Thirds lens, Jordan?
We did a little deep diving, and it's actually pretty specific. The protocol is the size of the lens mount, the electrical connections, and basic focus and auto exposure functionality. But if
among brands, all brands and lenses,
yes, everything
interchangeable, and
everything to use that and say we are part of the Micro Four Thirds lens mount alliance. They don't say alliance; they should.
It's the group.
I do, and I do just want to give some context
Alliance is
here.
cooler.
I just want to give some context here in that YoloLiv did sort of like do the due process to become
they're
the
an official member.
Yeah, to become a member. What they didn't do is make this lens to the standard required to be a member is really the context going on.
Right, correct. That's the story here. They did not do that. So this lens that Jordan was very excited to review is not actually a Micro Four Thirds lens.
Yeah,
it doesn't function.
It is specifically for a YoloLiv camera. It'll apparently work on that. I haven't tested.
I mean, hey, it'd be great on the GoPro Mission Micro Four Thirds.
No,
it won't because it needs electrical control in order to that's the thing. The Micro Four Thirds is only going to work with dumb lenses. This isn't even a dumb lens where I can just shoot through it, manually set my aperture and my focus, things like that. It requires electrical control, so it's a paperweight unless you put it on a YoloLiv camera. And all of the people in the comments, when we said, this is underserved, they was like, there's a 17-1.8 from OM, and there's, there's a 15mm 1.7 from Panasonic, all this, but there's nothing this fast, in this focal length, and this cheap available.
Sure.
So having it's a sub $300 18mm f1.4, that's a 36mm, very common, very useful focal length, with a very bright aperture, which I think a lot of people would be very interested in Micro Four Thirds.
Sure.
You can't separate the focal length from the aperture, and I do think this kind of sets itself apart from a lot of the options there. So it would be cool if people could use it on their cameras, which is why I wanted to review it, but they can't.
Are they going to take another stab at it, do you think?
So in order to remain a member of the Micro Four Thirds group and to sell products with the Micro Four Thirds logo, YoloLiv, YoloLiv. I like YoloLiv. I'm going to go with YoloLiv, even if I don't know if that's how it's said.
You only live once, Liv?
There's no E.
Even if in order
you
to
only live once, Elizabeth. That's what
they have to update it. They have to make a firmware update for this lens so that it does work on other cameras. And they've been put on notice by the Micro Four Thirds group because we reported this. I learned a lot about how the Micro Four Thirds group works through this process. It's a self-governing group. And I'm not sure how long it would have taken for them to discover that this was happening if we didn't tell them that this was happening.
Right. And what's cool too, yes, we're heroes. Is the main takeaway.
Yeah.
If you appreciate our heroism, then you should probably get a PetaPixel membership. But also, I'm going to hold on to this lens because this gives me the possibility we might be able to see an update for it, test it, and see if it now does become something compelling for Micro Four Thirds users.
It's an interesting story.
In which case, I want my face on the box.
Okay.
And Jaron's.
Nobody wants your face on the box. But I'm curious because it has the electrical connectivity. Is it a firmware update away from working?
Yes.
Or is it hardwired to the bodies only? We don't know.
Always claimed that they were working on the update to make it work with other Micro Four Thirds lenses.
Because when we asked them, they did respond, I believe, before this news story broke, and they were like, we can't guarantee compatibility with other.
They were very
which they very clearly knew. Don't do it; it won't work.
Yeah. And we've seen that plenty of times where it's like, the continuous autofocus isn't up to snuff or something. What we haven't seen is something where there's any usable functionality.
The camera's just straight up said, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't have happened to a better focal length. I don't know what to tell you.
Moving on.
speaking of private equity.
Yeah, it turns out a Chinese private equity firm, HSG, has emerged as the leading bidder to buy the stake in Leica camera from BlackRock, and also, I believe it was the actual from Kaufman's
Kaufman,
shares too. Austrian billionaire Andreas Kaufmann, who has a 55% stake in Leica. If he elects to sell, that would be who he'd be selling to.
Now, we did talk about this months ago, right? Because this has been out now for a while.
Not the name of the group that might purchase them. Only that they were interested in possibly selling.
Our news was like, it was full of conjecture. But in that, I think we did state like very likely a Chinese company
Not BlackRock, Blackstone.
It now looks like accurately surmised that a Chinese company would buy it, which does make sense.
I don't love it.
I mean, who knows, right? Like, I guess the thing that when we were first talking about this, I mean, Andreas Kaufmann's a cool dude. We've talked to Dr. Kaufmann many times. And what is clear is he absolutely loved the Leica name, the Leica brand, what Leica stood for, and put a lot of effort into maintaining a certain heritage there and a certain kind of method of doing business. And I think that's been very successful for Leica. Yeah. So I guess the question now is, if another private equity firm comes in, are they going to honor that in the same way? Are they going to lead it in a similar way? Are they going to change it completely? And that's big news because, like, I would argue that Leica is one of the companies that has really done very well in recent history here, like very well.
As a camera company.
As a camera company. Very successful, very profitable, sticking to their guns and what they want to do, sticking to their philosophy. That's been very good for them. And so any change, like, do you want to rock the boat? Do you want to keep it going?
Well, I just read this here. I was reminded. HSG was formerly the Chinese investment segment of Sequoia Capital. And if you pay attention to private equity, Sequoia Capital is a very well-known
Me neither.
private equity firm. So, I don't know, man.
I mean, who knows? I don't imagine that they're going to want to do a huge transition and upset.
Yeah, they're going to want to get their money back, though. That's the issue.
Sure.
Private equity always looks at what they've purchased and see how can we extract our investment fastest out of this, and that usually results in dismantling parts of the company and selling them off, or dismantling parts of the company and reducing the amount of money it takes to operate them, which of course then reduces the valuability of the company. So like what I wouldn't want to see is like a move away from its like handmade in Germany thing, because I feel like that's really valuable, but that's also really expensive. So like would they not immediately think, well, couldn't we just sell this exact same product but make it in China instead? And the answer is, you could, but would you want to? So, anyway, we'll see. As Chris likes to say, we'll see.
Yeah.
And we'll take.
Such a good phrase. Such a useful phrase for so many things in life. You know what I mean? Like,
speaking of Chinese companies,
segue power here.
Lucky, we all know Lucky. They make film. Their new Color C200 film is finally making its way into the world, the marketplace. We've actually found that it's difficult they don't have an official distributor, it doesn't sound like, but there are a couple of dealers in North America that have managed to get their hands on it. The largest major retailer who actually is getting it regularly is Midwest Photo out in Ohio.
Yes.
We have some photos here from that were taken with it, and Chris, why don't you give me your thoughts? Okay, so here's firstly.
Well,
let me tell you how much it costs.
Okay.
A roll of this is $14.99.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
For what is effectively a slightly differently tinted Kodak Gold. But go ahead.
Okay, so we've had some disagreement on this, you and I.
I don't love it.
I know. Okay, so I think, again, context is important. Like, Lucky has been a film emulsion manufacturer for a long time, but in sort of the past few years, they were really ramping down production. Maybe that was because of poor sales. I don't know, right? Like, we've tested the SHD film. You're not a huge fan of it. There's been some.
Oh, when you did the Temu film?
Yeah.
So
what black and white SHD.
I've maintained Chris was way too easy on those companies because every roll he gave me to shoot had something wrong with it. One of them had a giant hair running straight through the middle.
That's only if you consider like
another one
hair in the film a downside.
Light leaked to all hell,
which is so cool now. Like
I'm staying out of this. I have to work with both of you.
Digital cameras add light leaks on purpose now. It's cool, dude. No, okay. Look, I used to buy Lucky Film at the dollar store, and that's how I first used it. And honestly, I didn't have any issues with that film. It had a really weird color thing. It was awesome. But yes, okay, yes, SHD. We've had some problems with dust, and I will give you that. But Lucky has stated they were going to reintroduce new emulsions. Like they're ramping production up again. They're getting back on the analog game, which I assume means new machinery, new production lines, new emulsions, new technology. And this is the latest film. I didn't see any hairs on the sample photos, but maybe
it looks like
they've
cleaned them up so that at least they would be a reliable film. The thing is, though, when we first heard about Lucky's new color film, I think it was like 2 years ago, the idea behind it was that it was going to be cheap.
Sure.
You want like an affordable film in color. Like right now we have an affordable black and white film, and that's Pan 200, which is
great,
very affordable,
beautiful. I believe made by Harman. I'm not 100%.
It is Harman.
Okay,
so like that's sweet. I was looking for a color equivalent, and I was thinking, okay, cool, Lucky could get into this market. But at $14.99 a roll, it is
a lot.
Too high for what this film is, in my opinion. It looks like it has terrible dynamic range.
Look, I'm playing devil's advocate, okay? Like, because all film now is getting expensive, and like, it has a neat look. The quality looks better than the dollar store stuff that I used to use. I mean, that was really very poor.
What a bar you've set.
This is, well, exactly. But this, like, it looks like it's got good resolution. It has an interesting color palette. It's funny that it's accentuating the red tones, but at the same time, the overall color balance is kind of cold.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat. You know what I mean? All the Chinese companies now are in this position where they're trying to get away from this perception of being the bargain basement branding, right? They're trying to get away from this.
Needed that.
Okay, but they don't want to be that anymore. They want to make film that competes with the other brands. I'm not saying that this does it. I have to try some myself to make that decision. But I think gone are the days where Chinese companies want to be these super affordable trash companies, okay? And Lucky's trying to do that. Besides, look, as we saw in the Temu black and white, there's still lots of companies making really cheap film out there from China.
But it wasn't that cheap.
That's been hit or miss.
It wasn't that cheap.
No.
Yeah. So I'm just a little disappointed, I guess, that Lucky did not get under the $10 mark. I would have liked to, if this film was like $7 or $8 a roll, I'd be like, cool, that's actually pretty solid.
Right.
But it's almost double that. So,
but what's affordable now when it comes to like a color film emulsion?
Kodacolor's pretty good. How much is Kodacolor? Do you guys remember?
It's still like $12, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So see, if I had to pick between this and Kodacolor, I'm gonna pick Kodacolor.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Because you want nice color and appropriate
and also
balance
it's also $2 cheaper.
Less hairs, less
hair in
light
your shot.
I'm just saying it doesn't really, to me, compete well. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Like,
yeah, sure.
Take a look at the pictures. I've put the link in the description below. Please tell me if you think that this is worth what Lucky's charging. I legitimately want to know, because film is very big now. People like shooting film. People like shooting film cameras. I just don't see it for what they're asking.
What I'm liking here, though, is like the canisters are not the reloaded plastic canisters. They're pressed metal canisters, right? And 200's nice. I want to try it when it comes out and see what the look is and what the resolution is. Yeah,
you have to do a cam snap review.
I'm happy to do that for you guys, but definitely leave the comments below and let's prove Jaron wrong.
All right, last one. I want to kind of loop back to this because years ago, you guys recall, we went and swung by GlassAI, a company that is based out of it was Silicon Valley, and we went there and we saw that they were doing an upscaling technology that was, they argued, better than any other upscaling technology. Yes. It would not only give you more resolution, but it would make that resolution look better. And they showed us in person. They took pictures of us on a drone, and then they fixed the picture in post. And honestly,
it was impressive.
It looked really cool.
Sure.
But then we're like, okay, but you have to actually do that for real. Like put that in a real camera, put that in a smartphone. Smartphone was the target.
Yes. And at the time they were like testing it against lots of different RAW files. I mean, because they're trying to build data, right? So they're going in with Nikons and Canons and Olympus and Sony, all that kind of stuff, and they were working it. But yeah, now it's actually in a phone.
Smartphone. Yeah, it's not one that North Americans would know much about. It's Honor. But they have their technology in there, and it is. So what? Here's the thing. That camera has way more resolution to start with than an iPhone. So in this article, it's comparing what the Honor phone does with the same scene versus an iPhone. That said, historically, more resolution in a smartphone photo does not equal more usable detail every time.
Yeah.
It's a little better, but it's not leaps and bounds better when you just add resolution.
Yeah, I think it's, primarily where the benefit of this is going to be in the telephoto lenses, which are historically bad on smartphones in comparison to the other, obviously the main camera. But, like we've seen a lot of telephoto shots where the resolution sucks. And Honor's not the only person or company trying to do this. Like Google's done it with AI, which I think looks awful.
Here's the thing. It's using Gen AI to do it, which is not the same thing that Glass has been building.
Exactly.
So if you look at Glass's results, it looks like it's taken with a real camera. It's not adding weird funkiness. There's no called hallucinations. It's not adding things that aren't there.
No, it's not generative. I mean, and look, you've got super resolution modes in Lightroom and stuff too, right? Where you can add resolution.
Particularly impressive.
Look, when we saw the results at the Glass studio, like it was pretty good. Hey, like I was impressed. It was very good. Yeah. I mean, it increased detail, did not increase noise. In fact, reduced noise in some cases. Yeah, I mean,
if this was just built into the pipeline of your phone and you were just told that they had a system that made the pictures look better and they just looked like this, I feel like all you would say is nice things.
I do think substantial resolution benefits with a telephoto lens on a smartphone is a good thing to do. Like it's a weakness of smartphones. A lot of these 5x zooms, you're going to go tighter. Even still, you're going to want to crop. And if you have more resolution after with digital editing and you can crop further, great. But again, we got to test it. So I'm not against it.
Yeah, we probably won't look at this phone.
No.
But seeing it arrive in a device is neat, and we'd like to see this arrive in more devices going forward. So anyway, that's kind of a loop back on something we've discussed in the past, and it is actually coming out. My thing with a lot of these companies that we look at, like they have these really grand ideas. It's like, that's cool, and then we never hear from them again. Glass is actually still around, so good on them.
Yeah, I think we should also point out too, like what is interesting about Glass is it's not sort of like editing a raw file afterwards, right? I believe that their processing happens in the pipeline. Yeah. So, which is cool. Yeah, which is cool.
Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about some used gear and actually get some information about like what's going on in the market, because we don't get that from news sellers in North America very often. So we've asked some challenging questions of KEH. So we're going to bring one of them on to chat with us here for a little bit. And then we'll wrap up the show after that.
All right. Do we have time for tech support?
Oh, we have time for tech support.
Yes. All right, so joining us now is Dinko Ivojevic. He's going to have a conversation with us and help us out with the runnings of KEH.
And it seems like you have...
I have your rings.
Oh, see, now they get a glowing personal testimonial. KEH, whether you have rings stuck together or you're looking for a new used camera, what a great place that I can personally say has helped me out. Hi, welcome to the show.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So we have a bunch of questions here. We'll see how many we can get through. But one of the things that we don't get a lot of in the US is information on what's popular, because nobody tells us. But I think that there is a line to draw between what's popular on the used market and what's popular in the new market. So maybe you can shed some light on some stuff here. To start with, are there any specific camera models or camera types that are challenging to keep in stock, either because they're very popular or because they're rarely available to add to your inventory?
So I'd definitely say any kind of current modern release is hard to keep in stock just because there's so little used supply for it. Outside of kind of that, compact cameras, especially X100s, Ricoh GRs, that kind of thing.
For sure.
They're immensely popular, and people are coming in every day asking for them or equivalents to them just because they're so hard to keep in stock.
What's an equivalent to them, like a film camera?
Well, a lot of people, like through TikTok recommendations and such, are getting a lot of the older Canon point and shoots recommended, some of the selfies,
G-series,
the ELPH.
Yeah.
Recently, I've had a lot of people coming and asking for old Nikon 1s.
Really?
People are starting to find out about them, see that they're these really small, cute cameras, came in a bunch of colors, removable lenses.
Wow.
They were definitely ahead of their time for that one.
They were way too far ahead of their time.
I still want to find an AW1. I'm hunting on that. I miss that camera enormously. And I remember there was a stretch where we wanted to do a shootout of all the X100 series. And it's like, KEH is going to partner with us for that. But it actually took a little time until like the entire series came into, I think you guys were holding them for us and stuff, because they come in and then disappear so quick.
Just as a side note to that, Dinko, I'm interested to hear, like, you mentioned modern digital bodies. Like slightly older, like an A7 IV or something, A7 III. Like, what is that market like? Are a lot of people just switching brands? Are you noticing that quite a bit?
It ebbs and flows with what people are looking to shoot, and as their style changes, I think every brand is kind of carving out its own niche and speaking to that customer. So you'll have, a wedding photographer come in, and they may shoot Sony or Canon typically,
Right.
and they'll come in and ask, "Oh, I need a camera for the weekends for my kids." So they're going to go look at Fujis and Leicas.
Right.
And so you get a big breadth of people just constantly switching back and forth. And a lot of, people still with DSLRs upgrading, trying to see, because now you've got a lot of the EOS R and the first gen mirrorless cameras are becoming quite affordable, and they're still, full frame monsters.
Right.
Is there a camera or lens you wish you had an infinite stock of because it's just that popular and easy to sell?
X1.
Yeah.
Is it the X100 again?
The X100, absolutely. More so, I'd say like K1000s, AE1s, those good, solid beginner film cameras
Really?
that we can't make anymore. Nobody's making them. And so keeping that supply up is hard, especially once, college and school season comes around. They're still on a lot of major syllabuses for colleges.
But are they hard to find? I mean, I feel like you can see K1000s, AE1s, like all over Craigslist and all over like all that kind of stuff still, hey?
And the supply is still short on it.
Really?
Believe it, without as many are out there. And then, a lot will try and source either cameras for repair that aren't broken and go through our repair department to keep more in the supply.
Right.
So that's always a challenge, is keeping those beginner, medium, 35 millimeter cameras in stock. And then a lot of the, current digitals, compacts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I expected they would be still quite common.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I figured they were easy to find, but maybe that's...
No, with it, I guess maybe in like if you're just looking at online, absolutely. But there's so many photographers that aren't in the film space. They're just told, you need to go get this camera for this class, that are just getting into it.
Right.
And so that demand is just like, it's crazy.
Huh?
So you touched on this a little bit. How immediately impactful are like a TikTok trend camera? So like specifically one, not the idea of one, but like let's say one becomes popular, or like if you see a celebrity using it, like Taylor Swift, or like with she had an OM camera, for example.
Yeah. 4, I thought.
EM1,
EM10,
EM10 4, yeah.
4, yeah.
Yeah, and then the
EM10,
Contax G series with Sabrina Carpenter.
Contax T, Frank Ocean, Kylie Jenner, Tyler the Creator. The Contax T was kind of the big one that started that off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely notice them as we do these buying events around the country, and then we talk to our customers on the phones, on Zoom calls. They see an event happen, a gala or something. They see a camera, and then they wonder what that is. So the feedback loop tends to be pretty quick, especially as people are like, "Oh, I'm into film. I saw this X person had a film camera. I want that film camera because I admire like person X." So the feedback loop gets pretty quick, and then it brings in people who aren't necessarily into photography. They may be into fashion,
Right.
and they more or less become fashion accessories as well. You want the camera because of how it looks.
How does that make you feel personally?
Good and bad. I want to see the cameras used, but I'm happy that people, admire these marvels of engineering and design, and they are art in themselves of someone coming up with these. So, I'd rather see them used, and it makes me happy to see such celebrities shooting film and kind of keeping that alive and keeping Kodak in business.
To tie into that, about a year ago, when someone said that the GM5 is the greatest digital camera ever made,
Oh, that was me.
did you see an uptick all of a sudden? Yeah.
Is the answer no?
Little
Please say
bitty
no.
Panasonics running out the door?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can't keep those on the stock.
Yeah, actually, the GM5 price is crazy. Like, it's out of control. Somebody messaged me recently, like, "Oh, I have an opportunity to buy a GM5 with a lens for like $3,000. Should I do it?" I was like, "Oh my god,
How much did you pay for yours?
doesn't matter." And then I looked.
Thanks,
on,
Marlene.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. And then I looked on eBay, and I was like, "Oh man, these are going for crazy." But that does bring up an interesting point. Like the GM5 specifically, I don't think it was that popular. Certainly not like in a celebrity sense, but a lot of photographers, like Emily, for example, Tom Calton, myself, like we're like, "Oh, the GM5 is legit, like one of our favorite cameras, super fun." But I don't think it's super trendy with celebrities or anything like that. It is interesting to see how fashion models and actors and singers and stuff, like they pick up these cameras and they become insanely popular right away. while other cameras that are very similar analogs don't become popular. And that was one of the things that strikes me. You're walking around here at KEH and you're looking in the warehouse and you're like, why wouldn't anybody want this camera, that camera? There's like Nikon Coolpixes nobody wants. There's Pentax cameras nobody wants. And you're like, these are all very similar products, but you can't keep a Canon.
It's not the camera.
You can't keep a Canon G7 in stock. Like it's crazy to me. Seems strange.
We've seen new DSLR shipments decrease steadily and significantly year over year. But in the used market, we understand from other overseas sellers that DSLRs and lenses seem quite popular with a stable demand. Is that true for you as well?
Absolutely, yeah. DSLRs are probably the best value in the market, bang for buck wise. And you've got, 20, 30 years of autofocus lens catalogs to choose from. So there's just a bounty of items out there, and they provide a great value. They're full frame. The autofocus is great. So they're a great entry point. And as time goes on too, servicing them will become a thing. And I think DSLRs in general are poised to be able to service for the life of them.
Right.
Right.
A lot of mechanical stuff.
And it's a lot of mechanical stuff. And so a lot of people are also going, I've heard from people wanting a different shooting style. They want to hear the mirror thunk. It's kind of the film thing all over again. It's just a different way of shooting. So I think DSLRs will kind of slot into a niche, kind of like Leica's found with the rangefinders.
Do you think they've done
Pentax
that?
was right?
Well, we don't know. Yeah,
Careful saying that.
Yeah, how many Pentax Ricoh DSLRs are being sold on the used market, Dinko? Are they popular?
I don't see too many.
Yeah, that's too
probably
bad.
the K5 monochrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
K5 monochrome would be popular. That's an interesting thing. I was kind of wondering that myself. Is like a new photographer or newer photographer coming in that wants to shoot digital. How often are they choosing a very capable DSLR versus maybe like an even older mirrorless camera?
It depends on their priorities, especially if they're just starting out, but they are already in from the younger side, maybe yearbook, going into college sports, something like that. They know they need a big lens. They need a big body.
Right.
And so they're looking at how to get essentially the cheapest 70 to 200 on X body.
Right.
And with mirrorless, the body costs, especially at the entry level or older, are reasonable now, but getting the lenses are still the same price.
Gotcha.
And that becomes kind of the bottleneck for a lot of people is how do I get that reach? How do I get that wide angle for a reasonable sum? And adapting lenses is always an option. A lot of people do that. So you'll take, EF to RF mount adapters and such. But at the end of the day, people don't want to really deal with them, especially if you're in the field.
Yeah.
They want to just attach the lens and go.
I just wonder how many new photographers are saying, I want to get like a Rebel T3i or something like that used, right? I mean, the price, this thing costs nothing, right? I'm not advocating the 300D for beginners, but like, I think established photographers definitely appreciate get a D850, get a 5D Mark IV, right? And so that value I think is still holding pretty well.
And for the D850, there won't be a better DSLR made ever again.
Yeah, you're
probably not. That is the end of the line. So it's in a lot of ways like film. You have the film greats, and I think as we go on and DSLRs really wind down in production, we're going to kind of get that cream that rises to the top of what are the DSLRs to get.
I'm wondering when affordable old school DSLRs will be popular again.
What's an old school DSLR?
Well, like an older Pentax Ricoh, like an IST-D or something like that, or
I'm sure it's $50 right now.
Right. Like I'm sure the price on them is very, very low. I don't know what a T2i goes for nowadays, but it can't be that expensive. When are those entry level early DSLRs going to become cool again? Like we are seeing this cyclical trendiness continue through.
I'm wondering if it's what might hold that back from happening is that a lot of the cameras look like the one that's in front of you right now.
Sure.
And they just don't have any
This isn't cool?
cachet. They just don't look cool. And I'm wondering, in order for that to look cool, to want to be seen holding that, what style would have to evolve to for that to happen? Because style is cyclical, and I don't think there's been a single way people have dressed in the history of being dressed that would go well with that camera.
No, but I would argue a Pentax KS2, I think it's a pretty cool looking camera. I mean, yeah, and they're capable and they're nice shooters. I don't know.
Yeah.
Canon 80D is neat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Is it though?
What was the funky Pentax, the the very boxy one. It was like
the KO1.
KO1.
Oh, that's a piece of
That
trash.
is a cool camera.
No, that's garbage. That should burn
I had to
in hell.
shoot the show for a month on that. It was
I would not wish
rough.
that camera upon anybody. That's an awful experience. But KS2, Pentax, let's see if we can get that to be $15,000.
It says volumes that the KO1 was a punishment.
I hate everything about that camera.
So I think a lot of people believe KEH gets most of its inventory from like individuals doing trade-ins, either coming in here to the retail space, which by the way there is a retail space.
Yeah, a cool retail space. Right
We're
now.
in it.
Yeah.
Or they do the trade-ins so they can buy a mail. But you guys also go around searching for gear to acquire, like, correct? Like,
Yeah, we go across the country.
And into Canada.
Calgary.
In Canada, we're in Calgary, in the hometown. We go across the country, do these buying events. We meet customers in person, check their gear out, and purchase in person. We do our online mail-in orders, obviously, and then we have our great phone team and then a great virtual team. So you can actually meet with a person online as well, and they can go ahead and show your camera there and interact with us. So we're everywhere the cameras are.
So like, what's the breakdown then, like, of about how much of your intake comes from each of those sources?
Hard to say, but I'd say probably 50-50. Half of it's probably from web traffic, and then the rest of it's us going out, doing these buying events, reaching out to customers, collections, that kind of thing.
It's wild. I mean, our camera store, the camera store where we both started our photo careers, well, I guess Black's photography. You started your, but the camera store is the one that mattered. They started doing cage stuff years ago, and I mean, it's like constant now. Like you guys come in, and there's
We're there quarterly.
Is what's from the Canadian cities? Where do you get most of the cameras?
Calgary.
Is it Calgary?
Calgary is the most
So
it
weird.
is the craziest place I've seen for cameras, because there are more cameras there than I see in New York City or LA.
That is wild.
You guys have built the photo mecca up there.
That's so strange because you would think, Vancouver, Toronto.
And you would have think eventually it would
Chris's
dry
old
up.
customers.
This is like this is an oil well that you keep drawing from, and it's endless. Where are all the cameras coming
I
from?
obviously sold just cameras that people deeply regret owning now, I guess.
That must be
And
it.
they're like, what was I thinking? How did I let this shyster con me into buying this Pentax KS2 SLR?
Thank God KH is here quarterly to take it off my hands.
So I think something else that I didn't really realize until we got here and looked around and really didn't process is like how much turnover of gear there actually is. So like, how much gear do you take in a month, and how much goes out in a month? Because your inventory's got to be constantly cycling.
Yeah.
It's the ship of Theseus, but in fast forward.
Yeah, so we've got over 20,000 models that we purchase and sell, repair actively. Every month, it's in tens of thousands that we're getting in, both through our tech lines to get evaluated, going into repair to get a check there, and then same thing out. Tens of thousands of cameras every single month.
It's wild to me because like I could go check KEH's site every week and see different things.
Every day.
Yeah.
I forget the exact figure, but every day there are hundreds of cameras that we post to the website that get added in inventory.
It's a well-oiled machine. It was really neat to see behind the scenes, like the whole process of intake and evaluation and
doesn't seem like
repair
there's-
and output.
It doesn't seem like there's a like any other company that I can think of that would really be handling that much inventory, constantly changing in one segment like this. Like maybe like international competitors to KA is just all I can think of. But in North America, that seems really unusual.
Yeah.
With our repair capabilities and the manufacturer approval from them, and 45 years of doing it, we've not only interacted with all sorts of customers. So you have a lot of our legacy customers, you have a lot of new customers, employees as well. You have employees that have been here 30, 40 years, and you have someone that's been here for a year. So it really is kind of this big photo community here of, a lot of the, I'll say, old guard, bringing up the new guard. I think you guys were in repair as well, and you kind of saw the training that goes there. Same with our tech line. You'll have a lot of experience here trying to foster that new generation.
That was cool to see. Yeah, like it's not just an outlet bringing stuff in and passing it off again, right? It's you are actually training people with knowledge of like what cameras are, the series, all the different legacies, all the different lenses. Yeah, it's really neat to see.
We have to evaluate all of our cameras, and when you're selling, a brand new Nikon and then a 30-year-old Nikon, we have to ensure they all work the same. And there's not one given person that's assigned to like, you're just film cameras, you're just this. Everybody does everything.
Very cool.
And so people really get to learn a lot there.
What are the most common problems with cameras that come in that are like not working fully that you guys would like? What breaks first?
I would definitely say on film cameras, light seals, if they haven't been touched in years, the foam gets crumbly, they're crumbling out. Old mechanical shutters, the grease will kind of gum up the gears, so they need some service. Digital cameras, typically it's focus issues.
Really?
My lens is missing focus, it's not focusing. And then, the unfortunate accidents of my screen's cracked. That's really that is probably the most common problem nowadays, especially with touch screens and stuff. People are flipping their screens out a lot more. A tripod falls. If you have a fully articulating screen,
that gets damaged first. Yeah.
So a lot of wear there. And then recently, I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years with like YouTube and content creation, hot shoe repairs.
Oh, I
So
can
a
totally
lot of
see. Yeah.
mics.
Right.
I've thrown a monitor and 2 microphones.
They
yeah.
just bend.
They just get bent and warped.
Interesting.
I mean, if you drop a camera, that's usually going to break or crack too. Yeah. Lens mounts, maybe. Yeah.
So what's the hardest thing to fix? That comes up all the time.
The hardest thing to fix, if you want a specific example, it's going to be something like a Rolleiflex camera, or these very old mechanical cameras that, Rolleiflex went out of business in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
So they haven't made parts for these things in so long. So us gathering enough repair parts to be able to repair, a good example of one, that becomes the hardest problem is a lot of the older stuff and just sourcing those parts because you can't just order them. As far as, new stuff, that's easy. We have a great relationship with the manufacturers. We just order in the part and pretty simple there.
That actually brings up something I don't think enough people know is how robust of a repair facility you have here. Like, we talked to them yesterday and they're like, there's really nothing we would say we can't fix.
Right.
The only thing that might be a barrier is how expensive it eventually gets. Because like some of the parts, it might be so busted, it might be cheaper to buy a brand new one. But some people might not want to do that. They might want to fix the camera they have. It is theoretically possible to fix basically anything.
Yeah, it's interesting too. It's like, obviously there's lots of other companies, even small outfits that are doing repair stuff, right? And as far as like ordering parts from manufacturer, a lot of people can do that. But I think you have, when we were growing up, the repair person, Calgary's a good example. The repair person was like some individual person that was repairing cameras in their basement, and they were known as the Hasselblad guy or the Rolly, and they would just collect parts for that camera, right? And it was very much like this tinkering kind of way of repairing things. You guys obviously have a unique position in that you're bringing in so much stock that you have this really generous amount of parts and access to parts that maybe not a lot of outfits have, which is great. I mean, because as a photographer who loves old stuff, there's always going to be this feeling like, is this a finite resource? Are these cameras eventually going to disappear? That would be a sad day. So yeah, it was interesting to see how many parts you guys keep in stock, how much access you have to used gear that you can repurpose. And it was pretty hopeful as far as, I came in there kind of like, oh, repairs, that must be sad. Like, you're not going to work on this camera in 5 years. Like, no, actually, I think we're going to be just fine. Yeah. I think we can do this for a long, long time. So that was nice to see.
One other thing I think is kind of cool is if you're a photographer with a bricked camera, you might just be like, oh, it's off to electronics recycling with it. But you could actually, even if you don't get some money for it, at least throwing it in to service here, parts of that are going to be used so that somebody could get a usable camera at some point. Yeah.
So some photographers may be hesitant to purchase used gear for a variety of reasons, whether they're worried about something being wrong with the equipment and they don't know if it's going to last, or if they generally just prefer buying something new. What could you tell a photographer on the fence about why they should consider pre-owned?
I definitely tell them that pre-owned is probably the best bang for buck you'll get, and you get to not only have a wide breadth of choice for cameras that may not be made anymore or that are currently made, but you can get, a D850 or a 5D Mark IV that not many years ago was the top level. This is what you shoot. And, magazine covers were printed with those cameras. There's no reason they can't be again. Especially when you buy through a retailer such as us, you can get it warranted and checked and make sure that it's good to go there. With KH certified, all of our cameras are tested by our technicians. They're looked over and they all function the same. They're all warranted as well for 180 days. And it allows photographers to maybe test a camera they're unsure about, try it out without really sinking in the full retail cost. And then also then taking that hit on reselling it if they are unhappy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I constantly butt up against that when I'm trying to buy a camera from someone in a back alley. I'm like, is this certified? What kind of warranty are we looking at? And they always just walk away. It just never really pans out. So this is a better method.
But
oh, no, I do exclusively back alleys.
Yeah, Jordan prefers to buy his used. See, Calgary's got such a big used market that you
it's
can't,
overflowing.
the parking lot's already full of cars with people selling out of the back of the trunk. So you've got to go to back alleys. Yeah, the scariest places often have the best prices.
Yeah.
But
this is better lit, too. I like that.
I trust this better.
2 more questions. E-waste. Such a major issue in the entire technology market. And photography is no exception. We were just talking about some people may just think they just got to throw the camera away.
I don't like it.
Can you speak to KH's approach to reducing e-waste and the environmental benefits of a circular photo gear economy?
Absolutely. Yeah. With cameras and then all the accessory gear as well, we try and either find another use for it or another home for it, if you will. So with broken cameras, if a customer mails us in a camera, let's say it's grandpa's old camera, we found it in the basement. They don't know anything about this, but they don't want it sitting there, and so they mail it to us. And that's where we tend to see a lot of people where we'll tell them, hey, look, this camera isn't working. We're happy to, help you not put it in a landfill. We can use it for parts. We'll find a new home and a new life for it. Same thing goes for a lot of like the old camera bags, straps, a lot of these small accessory things that there's not really a huge market. Nobody wants a 20-year-old camera bag. We'll try and do like in Atlanta here, we do a community yard sale. And we just have bins of these things. And it's like, if you need something, grab it. Because ultimately it is going to be useful to someone, whether a beginner or someone just needs a spare bag, spare cap, strap, that kind of thing.
It was cool to see that when we went through the warehouse where it might be easy to assume like, oh, a lot of that stuff just goes right in the trash, maybe, but it doesn't. Like you guys have collected all the lens caps, rear caps, back caps, like they're all functional pieces of equipment. There's no point just throwing them out. So that all gets repurposed or sold eventually or given away. Like it was cool to see that. Yeah.
And then,
so this leads directly into my last question. The Belfast Photo Festival, which is happening, I believe, this week. They have basically set up what they're not calling it a rage room, but it's a rage room where they're asking people to come in and just destroy cameras they consider obsolete or broken. And when we saw this, we immediately thought like, but there's probably parts in there that are usable. So like, what does seeing an event like a destroy room for cameras, how does that make, I mean, you personally, but how does that make KH feel?
It hurts, unless those are all Holgas. Are they all Holgas?
They're not. They're not all Holgas.
No. In that case, it hurts knowing.
So you'd be okay with a Holga rage room?
Maybe. Yeah. I think for a lot of cameras, especially older cameras, that someone might say, oh, that's really old. That's useless. I don't know that we'll ever make those parts again. So one random gear could be the difference between a camera staying in service for the next 30, 40 years or not. So it really hurts. I'd love to see those cameras either get used to keep other cameras in service or just be serviced and used themselves.
I'm going to start Pentax KO1 dodgeball. That's what I'm going to start. I'm going to see if that takes off. Like, okay, let's. I cannot say if this is true or not. But let's assume that they are going to then like electronically recycle all the mess. I'm sure I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I really hope they're not just gathering it all up and throwing it in a landfill. But assuming the best.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like old bust. I mean, they're showing a Praktica being destroyed, which is rough. But they're also showing like a lot of old digital cameras.
Yeah, there's
PCB boards.
This is a Canon Rebel.
Yeah, Jordan would love to smash this right now, even though it's in perfect working shape. So
I would like to disassemble it for parts that could be used in more useful cameras.
It is funny though. Like, you know, we've had broken junk cameras and stuff like that where the lenses aren't working, they're flooded or whatever. And yeah, we've destroyed them on our show too in the past, like, you know, for a gag or something like that. And I get that people do find that very difficult to deal with. Like, it's like cameras are totemic. They're worshipped in a lot of cases. They're beautiful designs. And so yeah, I could see how that's upsetting to people.
I'd rather them see them made into lamps if they don't work.
Yeah.
That's a shame. All right, well, I kind of was expecting that answer, but I'm glad we're all on the same page. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for chatting about used gear with us.
Thank you for hosting.
And thanks for having us in KEH.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so a lot of great insight from Dinko. Thank you for being here on the podcast, but it's tech support time.
No, first, it's what have you been up to? And I'm going to use this as a time to bring this onto the screen. So, it's very last minute if you hadn't heard this yet, but if you're in the Atlanta area, you can come meet us at a Beers and Camera event
Tonight?
June 4th from 6 to 9 p.m.
The day this drops.
at Grove.
Yeah.
I'm holding the sign right now. You could also see more information on this on our Instagram and also KEH's Instagram. If you want more information, here it is. I'm going to hold it just a little bit longer, but seriously, go to the Instagram if you want to find out more information. If you want to come by and say hello, you do need to sign up ahead of time, right?
Yes.
They need to sign up the Eventbrite link. That's correct?
AI-generated versions of us will be at this event. So
not true.
We'll be there?
We have to actually show up.
Oh, dude.
Jordan,
Yo.
what have you been up to?
So for quite a while, one of my favorite shows has been unavailable in Canada, and that is Portlandia, and I'm back watching it again, and I am loving it. It is available on CBC Gem for free. Only requires a subscription, so that's what I've been up to.
Great show.
A free subscription?
Free subscription in Canada. This does not impact you in any way.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It's ironic.
you don't get to enjoy it. But CBC Gem is great. They got lots of great docs. Our friend Levi Hallwell has had a doc on there.
Past and future guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Magic Hours on there.
Magic Hours is on there. You do have to watch a lot of Canadian content advertisements. But yeah, this is great.
There's some sort of like farm outside of Calgary where your kids can like ride horses and stuff, and that ad plays pretty consistently while I'm trying to enjoy my free content. But still recommend it.
Is this why you were like leaping down my throat about not going and finding them because they were shooting in Portland?
So Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein were in Portland, and with the Criterion van, so full of movies, physical copies of it, and they were hanging out, and I was like, Jaron, why are you not there?
You didn't go down?
And Jaron, this was like the night before we left, but I'm like, that's no excuse. And he's like, how am I supposed to find this van? I'm like, you're editor-in-chief.
You know, Portland is very large.
Yeah, it is.
Just to drive around looking for it.
Can't believe you missed that
show, seeing as how you're
Yes.
you're a Portland resident. Yeah,
heard on it.
It's so funny. Yeah, there's some good stuff on there.
Chris, do you have anything to add to what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Nothing. I'm not doing anything fun. Gardening.
That's fun.
but that's a necessity.
Didn't you take down a plant that was growing viciously in your yard?
I did use the little cutters, the Japanese cutter blades that you got for me, which it worked very well on my elderberry.
They work
bush.
great on fingers too.
Yes, absolutely. I've not made any mistakes so far, so I still have all my pinkies, but it would be good for that. No, I'm not doing anything fun. What have I been up to?
Well, we
Jordan,
travel
what have
a
I
lot.
been up to?
You ate some Mexican the other night.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chris. You know what you've been up to? Answering tech support questions, right? Because we're going to
Yes.
answer some tech support, the thing you've really wanted to do for a while.
I just feel like the viewers put in the effort to watch
do.
our show and
gonna do
they
our
have
best.
questions and they send these questions in.
So here
and
we go.
never have time to answer them, and I want to answer some of them.
So this is from K.A. Schwartz. It's a message, or not a message, a comment on YouTube. As a university professor, I'm interested to hear how two of you went from academic class leaders to YouTubers. I totally appreciate your content. I am so pleased that you're doing what you're doing. I have a keen interest in what influencer folks choose to pursue as certain career paths. I only teach PhD engineering and postdoctoral physicians, and I have noticed that many of these students still do not have a plan for their career path, even at this late stage of training. Average student age is around 25 years old for the PhD students and over 30 years old for physicians. I understood my career path from the time that I was in junior high school, but that seems rare nowadays.
You.
You are correct. That is rare these days.
That is very rare.
I would appreciate your comments on what influenced your career path. All the best.
Yeah.
So this applies to you because you referred to like top performing students who found their way here. Clearly, I
right.
was a poor performing student who stumbled my way here. So this is for you and Jaron.
What did you academic leaders? That's very
Yeah, because you were
nice.
both like
I
really
think he
good.
says that you were a teacher as well.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna be in the camp of your students of not knowing what I wanted to do as a career path. I've told this story many times before, but you may not have heard it. But I actually failed my photographic classes in university.
Yeah, he's the Michael Jordan of photography. Didn't make the varsity team.
I had zero interest in photography when I was in university. I was going towards an English major, which is boring, in my opinion now, in hindsight. And I was aimless. I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. That's what I wanted to do. I watched Top Gun, and I was like, French kissing and flying like jet planes? That looks awesome. That's what I wanted to do. And, maybe I should have done that. But no, photography came late. I kind of taught myself. I was maybe 19. So, yeah, I don't know. I stumbled into it, but I was pretty good in school.
Well, I mean, the thing that's important to remember when you're talking about people our age is our job didn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
I did truly stumble into, like, YouTube cameraman was not a thing. I thought I was going to go into, like, film studies or documentary filmmaking, something like that. So, yeah, that's the tough thing when it's like, how did you guys know? Like, we really did just stumble into something that happened to be appearing simultaneously.
I would say though, like, you've always been interested in film production, documentary. You could think of all of our shows as little mini docs, right? And I kind of sort of know, but you knew that you wanted to do video work, and you're still to this day doing video work, right? I had zero concept of doing photography until well later. I did enjoy teaching, and I think being YouTube host in a lot of ways is akin to being a teacher. Like you're performing, you're passing on knowledge. You have to keep people entertained. So I've always kind of found that a natural transition.
I went to business school, and with the knowledge I gained there, you could drop me into any business, really, and I can apply my knowledge to it. I just like what I do. I stumbled into being a journalist. I didn't go to school for it, but I understand like all the things you need to be a journalist. I learned from other people. I worked for other publications. I definitely did stumble into, because when I started doing stuff for f-stoppers, it was because I was working for PhotoFlex at the time, and the guys who were running f-stoppers, Pat and Lee, asked for my opinion on a marketing and social media thing, which was my specialty at the time. And I helped them. And because PhotoFlex was circling the drain, they decided to use that as a reason to fire me as a violation of my contract, which I didn't get paid for the work that I helped Pat and Lee with. But anyway, I accepted. I didn't care. I was like, whatever, this place sucks anyway. And Lee felt so bad that he felt like he got me fired. He was like, you could just come, work for me for a little while, write some articles for f-stoppers. And that's how that happened. So I guess my advice is you get fired and get lucky.
Wow.
I feel like you were just asking people questions that made them uncomfortable, and you're like, I'm going to chase this feeling for the rest of my life.
Stay in school.
Yeah. I mean, you could. I would.
Or
agree.
don't.
Stay in school.
No, definitely do. All right, next one. I don't know what happened. I will find their name as soon as I read this, but for some reason I didn't put their name in here. But it's an email. Dear PetaPixel team, I am an active supporting PetaPixel member as well as a semi-retired sports photographer. Over the years, I have shot extensively with the Canon R6, which I eventually sold, and currently own both the R5 and R3. Recently, I've been seriously considering the R6 Mark III, though I must admit your reviews of the camera still leave me with a few questions. I understand the point being made regarding the lack of a stacked sensor and how, for many photographers outside of sports photography, it may not present a major issue. That makes sense. However, I would be interested in hearing more discussion about action and movement photography in general, not just traditional sports. For example, how does the camera perform with subjects such as biking, fast-moving wildlife, or panning shots where rolling shutter performance might or might not matter? One observation I have had while watching your otherwise excellent reviews is that sports and action photography often seem to receive only brief mention in passing. I completely understand that it is a more specialized genre with a smaller audience compared to portrait, travel, or video shooters. Still, for those of us who do shoot sports and action, who generally value your insight and reviews, it would be greatly appreciated if you could dedicate a minute or two discussing real-world action performance especially when reviewing cameras in the R series lineup. I truly enjoy your reviews and appreciate everything you continue to do for the photography and video community. Thank you for your time, and please keep doing what you do. And yeah, there's another, this might have been the same guy he emailed twice. I actually think it was. This is AJ, who said, again, he had more information about it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he continues on. He essentially says, as I get older, I find myself wanting to lighten the load. The R3 is fantastic, but it's definitely heavy and bulky. I love the original R6 and would love to grab the R6 Mark III, but I'm worried about shooting motion and action in electronic mode, especially while
same
panning.
as AJ.
So yeah. So AJ, apologies. I did get you eventually. It's because I crammed both your emails together.
Yeah. And AJ also asked the question in a second email, should I maybe consider the R5 Mark II instead? Which is actually a very capable sports and action camera. I mean, I can only speak to why do we not really talk about sports photography specifically on the show? It's because I'm not a sports photographer. I play one on TV, but I don't know much about it. So it's like, you know, the limited kind of sports we get to shoot, it's usually on an event like shooting sideline NFL was awesome and stuff, but I can't call myself a sports photographer. And there's a particular skill set to doing that, which is difficult. But we can speak to rolling shutter, right, Jordan?
Yeah.
And shooting electronic shutter is becoming more and more popular. The R3 is certainly good for that. Should he get an R6 Mark II? Should he get an R5 Mark II? Or R6 Mark III or R5 Mark II?
I mean, the big thing there is if you can use the mechanical shutter, if you're okay with 12 frames per second, you're not going to have any issues with it.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from an R3, then yeah, you're going to get way more distortion with the R6. And the reason we were so impressed is it's not a stacked sensor or partially stacked sensor, but it's still fairly competitive.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The R5 II is, but there are also bigger files you're going to deal with, and it's a more expensive body. That kind of makes sense right now. So if you plan to use the electronic shutter consistently, then the R6 III is going to be a step back for you. But if you're okay dropping to mechanical, then I think the autofocus performance is very similar to an R5 II or an R1, and you're going to get no distortions in the shot and a good hit rate. So that's how I would look at it.
I agree.
For a bit of perspective, even a camera with a stacked sensor, so the Sony A7R6, you can still get rolling shutter.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the slowest stacked sensor
Correct.
we've seen, so that's not totally a fair comparison, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah. In our limited experience shooting sports with the R5 Mark II, it did a very good job, very respectable job in electronic shutter mode. I still think you're gonna see a little bit of rolling shutter in extreme sports situations. Right, I recall still, you're going to get a little bit of rolling shutter with things like thrown baseballs and golf swings.
But still
and stuff.
substantially
Yes.
less than a
R6.
an R6 III.
I guess it depends on how much it bothers you.
Yeah.
Great. Hal Snyder 296 left
Related?
a comment. No, spelled with an SNY. Different type of Snyder. The Snyder, not a Schneider.
Oh, they're all the same to me.
Yeah, they would be. I have a question. I have a Z6 and a Z7 first models that I never use.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of packaging them all up and sending them to KEH. My mistake was neither camera reflects what I wanted to do. I like to take street photos, and I like to shoot landscape and astrophotography. I'm thinking I would be happier with an OM1 and a GFX. Obviously, to me, a single system isn't going to cut it. Probably the GFX would only be used for wide field piggybacked on a telescope, and I really have a dedicated sensor on the scope. I'm thinking that what I should have is a micro four thirds setup and wait on the rest. Any thoughts?
Again, this is kind of a tough one because we don't have the context for what kind of photography you love to do. But yeah,
Landscape and astrophotography.
we do have. Never mind.
And street photos.
I should
The
actually.
GFX is not fantastic.
I
When
should
you said
actually
strap
read
it to a telescope, I wasn't thinking it was
I should
portrait.
actually read English. Oh, well, in that case, I mean, like the GFX, of course, is well suited for landscape photography. OM1, sure, that's not its strength, honestly. It's not its strength. I mean, you know, if we go with a classic representation of landscape being the ability to print photos large, have high resolution, good dynamic range. Like, this is not Micro Four Thirds strong suit. Now, can you take beautiful landscapes with an OM1? Absolutely, you can.
High res mode.
Yeah, high res mode's great. You know, if you've got limited movement and stuff, I do love the tools like not having to take a tripod all the time, being able to do long exposure computationally. These are all great skills. So yeah, but yeah, it depends on what you want to do. I guess if you had both systems, you'd be covered very nicely for landscape. The beauty of the OM system is going to be its compact nature, small lens designs, and excellent glass.
Cool.
Yeah. So would you be well served with that? I don't know. I mean, I love Micro Four Thirds. I probably still like the idea of full frame. If I was gonna if someone said you can only have one landscape camera, I'd probably want a high resolution full frame for most situations, to be honest. But if he has a GFX as well, I guess you're covered on both ends.
I'm just getting nodding from Jordan, so I'm going to move on.
Oh, good.
This is an email from Chris Law. I recently received my new Film on Location You Coward shirt. Jordan, please model it. And decided to wear it for the first time on a shoot I was working last weekend. We had planned to shoot all Saturday outdoors for a runner's charity, and that day was raining hard off and on, so the director and the DP said that my shirt was the inspiration they needed to not give up fighting the weather. Here's the DP and me blocking the scene before Talon arrived. We'll put it on screen. He is indeed wearing the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like they're about to fight each other. I don't know. This is scary.
Some people think that this shirt is an attack. It is not. It is meant to inspire.
It's an attack.
I mean, yeah, it does call people cowards for sure for not going outdoors. But you know what? As a result of being outside and filming in those adverse conditions, you made a better
There you
video.
go. Yeah.
So it worked.
Yeah. It's just like shame-based parenting versus nurturing-based parenting. That's all it is. Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much for your support. For those of you who are wondering, why aren't there more shirts on the shop right now? Well, there are a couple, but just be patient. More are coming.
Oh.
More on that soon. Finally, last...
Will they also shame our viewers? Are we going with shame-based shirts from now on?
Shame-based.
We should start a company called Shame-Based Shirts.
Yeah, it's like a negative feedback cycle that
yeah.
we're working on.
Yeah.
Last one is an email from Greg Pantelides. Hi, PetaPixel team. Recently, I've been giving some thought to digital cameras just closely mimic the look of film. Yeah. I wanted to see if I could identify any similarities between them to discern which common elements may be responsible for that, quote, film look. Unsurprisingly, it is not as simple as CCD versus CMOS, as the two most beloved sensors in the category share a different architecture. He left out Foveon. These sensors being...
We all should leave out Foveon.
These sensors being the first gen 16.3 megapixel Fujifilm X-Trans as found in the X Pro 1, and the Leica Kodak 18 megapixel CCD is found in the M9 and M9 monochrome. I think there are two main factors contributing to film-like appearance. One, these cameras designed to mimic the film look through their image pipelines, and two, both sensors have low megapixel count and lack any anti-aliasing filter. I think the second point is often overlooked, but strongly contributes to the film-like appearance. The combination of a lower megapixel count and lack of an AA filter provides a visual aesthetic immediately familiar to film shooters. Namely, a lower overall image resolution, but one which maintains clarity and detail. I would like your thoughts on this, Greg. Do you have any thoughts on this? Have you thought about this that hard?
Not really. The lack of an AA filter provides a visual aesthetic immediately familiar to the shooters, namely a lower overall image resolution. I feel like the lack of an AA filter would actually improve the resolution. The AA filter drops the resolution. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the actual sensor, inside the camera has a very limited effect on whether it's going to have a filmic look or not. I know like CCD sensors are really popular. People like rediscovering it. They've got this kind of look to them. This has got an ancient CMOS sensor. I still think it looks very generational to this time period. I don't really buy into that so much as I feel the way that you render noise in your image on a digital sensor, the way that the profile that you're using for color has a far more strong effect on the filmic look. Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a theory that the internet is going to hate. But I think because our cameras are so good at hanging on to shadow and highlight detail lately, people miss contrast. And if you look at an old CCD, especially like an old CCD APS-C or 4/3 sensor, your options were limited. They weren't going to hang on to that much. So you would have to process pretty contrasty images based on the limited DR you had. And people are a little nostalgic for that. And if they go shoot like an old D70 or something like that, they're like, this has a punch like film.
But really just has a lack of
it
shadow
was like
detail.
technically maybe a little inferior, and you can get a very similar look if you're willing to. Like, I'm the same way. I'm always like, let's hang on to as much information.
Yeah.
And I've really started to like just throwing away some of that detail on either end and getting a punchier look.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're talking strictly out of camera JPEGs, there's so many things that give film a filmic look, right? I mean, one is grain structure, one is dynamic range, one is color balance overall, color tone, and film has so much variety to it. It's really hard to to get that down. The only thing that I would say that I've definitively seen that has kind of given me an impression of whether it looks like film or not is grain structure. So, on cameras that shoot black and white, there's certain companies I feel that render noise in a way that maybe looks more organic, more filmic. Leica is really good for that. I think old Olympus cameras are really good for that. Panasonic modern cameras are good for that. Fujifilm to some degree. Fujifilm is again trying to specifically create a film look based off of a color profile. But the way that you render noise and grain, I feel sometimes can look very digital or very filmic. But I think it's so easy to do afterwards. I don't really worry about it anymore.
All right. Closing this down. Jordan, you shared with me a thread from Dimitri Make Photo.
Yeah.
Dimitri Mac, who's on Threads. And I also follow Dimitri. And he shared this picture from bark.com. It's an ad they ran, it looks like on Facebook. And I'll put it on screen right now. And there's a lot wrong with this picture.
It's pretty great.
But Dimitri says, the most hilarious thing about this AI ad isn't even the photographer is looking away from the couple. It's the 4 backup 70 to 200 millimeter lenses that every normal photographer would carry. What a joke.
This image just struck me as hilarious. But it's funny because, it's an advertisement for wedding services. Like, there's got to be a BTS of a photographer.
Just license a photo. Just license a photo.
But, the 70 to 2s is amazing. I could maybe say, maybe one of those is the old 70 to 300L that was pretty similar to a 70 to 200, but that still gives you 2 backup 70 to 200s.
Maybe this photographer appreciates the
This
filmic.
photographer's not real.
Okay. Maybe this artificial photographer appreciates the filmic look that the original 7200 2.8 version gives.
He likes to swap between them.
and then wants like the clarity and detail that the second version would maintain. And then probably has an EF version with an adapter for a completely different
to
look.
photograph the squirrel, not the couple.
They drag different amounts of sandpaper on the front element to give it a low contrast
the
look.
couple's not kissing. They're just like hanging out and holding hands. Like maybe there's other people they want to photograph. So I don't know. Anyways.
Our light just went off for some reason, which is great because we are closing down the podcast. We do have one more thing to talk about.
That's KH being like, you need to go home now.
The feel-good story of the week. There we go. Hey.
Oh, light's back.
Excellent. Feel-good story of the week. This should come as no surprise to anyone who watches Chris Nichols dunk OM system cameras under running water. But there's been a video that was shared that went viral of a photographer hosing down his dirty camera, which of course can only be really one camera company that you can do this with.
I believe this. Well, no, we don't go that far. This.
What else can you do this with?
This photographer goes on
Pentax,
Safari, I
Leica.
believe.
Leica doesn't make lenses that look like this, for one.
I mean,
The hell mount, you could get that thing soggy. Go ahead.
The photographer states that they are using OM system lenses. Absolutely. I mean, this is the 150 to 400, which is an awesome lens, which we have also abused on a regular basis. So, but I mean, a lot of brands allow you to hose down your lenses safely.
Do they?
Sure.
Can I please have the long list of companies that you can safely do this with?
Maybe not a long list, but I mean, it's not like he's. Look at the photo. He's
You
putting
should never do this with any camera brand other than this one, maybe Leica and maybe Pentax. Do not listen to them. That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea.
I'm just saying, I'm just professional wildlife lenses from all the brands, generally speaking.
Connected to a camera and spraying it with a hose in your yard, that's a stupid idea.
Anyways, I'm not saying it's a great idea. I'm just saying it's not beyond the realm of possibility that your lens will survive.
We could ask some of the service technicians here if it's a good idea to hose down your camera.
Don't listen to them. Don't do this unless it's
No, I'm not advocating you do this. I'm just saying, it's not crazy. I'm just saying, look at the spray coming out of this. He doesn't have the hose on full blast. It's a slow.
Is it the shower mode or the flat mode?
Yeah, it's not like he's spraying the high-speed stream.
It's a hose that's got nothing on it.
A lot of cameras are designed to take things like rainfall and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just saying.
When you read the fine print when they say they're weather sealed, it says not guaranteed to repel all weather.
No,
that's
certainly not high-pressure sprays. I mean, I'm just saying most lenses.
Anyway, I think it's funny. Sorry to bring it up.
Nobody feels good anymore, Jaron. Great job.
All right. Well, next week we are, let's see here. What's our schedule for next week? We are off next week.
What?
No podcast next week. We will be back the week after. Yeah, you're really busy.
I know.
So thanks for joining us this week. Thanks to KH for letting us sit in here and argue in front of their logo. And thanks to ProMaster for sponsoring this podcast. And anything else? No?
Good. No, I think we're great. Thanks. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Bye-bye.